All right, this is the Parliamentary Budget Officer's report on the impact that the carbon tax will have on families in Canada. Let's go through it and see what it actually says. All right, so this is the report. It's called a Distributional Analysis of the Federal Fuel Charge under the 2030 Emissions Reduction Plan. This report is the subject of a great deal of controversy, debate, and sadly, a great deal of misinformation. Now, the particular page that people often misquote and misuse for their own purposes is page 2. So what you want to do is you want to turn past the cover page, past this front matter here, past the table of contents, past the summary, and then you end up here on page 2. This is the table that is often misquoted. Now, the first things you want to look at when you're looking at this table, first look at the title and then look at the axes. So the title will tell you a great deal. Household net costs of the federal fuel charge in 2030-31 by income quintile, fiscal impact only. So you'll see on the y-axis, it's broken down by provinces. On the x-axis, we have quintiles. A quintile is 1/5 of a population. So here in our first quintile, we see the lowest 20% of income earning families in Canada. Second quintile is the next lowest 20% of income earners in Canada. Up here, we have the highest 20% of income earners in Canada. Now, what tends to throw people, I suspect, about this table is the negative numbers. People see negative numbers and they think bad. But if you're looking at net cost of anything, then a negative number is good, because it means what it's costing you is a negative amount, meaning you're earning more than you're spending. Just in case you think I'm shooting you a load of malarkey, take a look at the second note provided right down here. It clearly states, and I will quote this, a negative cost is a net gain, meaning that the amount of climate action initiative payments received exceeds the costs to the household. So that's the graph. If you take a very close look at it, and I will highlight the quintiles here, it shows negative numbers for exactly 80% of families in Canada. Negative numbers in this case means those families are earning more from the carbon tax rebate than they are spending on the carbon tax. Now, I should point out that if we turn over to page 3, we see an entirely different story, and this is the story that the opposition party should be looking at. They shouldn't be trying to simply misrepresent page 2. They should, if they were logical, focus on page 3 here, because page 3 says, presumably, what they want it to say, which is that if you take the overall impact of the carbon tax on economic output, then that presumably will hurt most Canadian families. However, we can't talk about that without talking about a note that was made right up front here, right in the summary. And it says this: the scope of the report is limited to estimating the distributional impact of the federal fuel charge and does not attempt to account for the economic and environmental costs of climate change. So obviously, when we get to page 3, we're looking at a rather one-sided report. It's a report that sees only the costs of climate action and doesn't consider or even attempt to consider at all the costs of the climate change that this climate action is attempting to address. So, take a look at this report, stay informed, and understand that you are living in the post-truth era. As always, I will leave links in the video description to sources that support any assertions that I have made in this video, including a link to this report.